huge levels of immigrants coming in. I mean, the UK is being colonised. It's costing too much money. It will cause...
It's been colonised.
It'll cause... Well, yeah. The UK is being colonised by immigrants, really, isn't it? I mean, the population of the UK was 58 million in 2020. Now it's 70 million. That's 12 million people.
You met recently with Nigel Farage, didn't you?
Britain's colonization hypocrisy just spat in the face of Africa. Not because of the words of a business tycoon, but because of the growing sentiment and cultural mood that allows rhetoric like you've just heard to become mainstream. In this video, we're going to break down the double standard and hypocrisy behind that statement. And we're going to expose the truth about the declining empire that refuses to learn lessons from its own reckless past. If you're interested in Africa claiming back its sovereignty from modern imperialism and neocolonialism, then this video is for you. If you don't know me, my name is TJ. I am Nigerian and British mixed. And on this channel, we talk about African geopolitics. So the man you heard speaking at the beginning of the video is Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He is a billionaire founder and chairman of a multinational chemicals giant called INEOS, one of the largest chemical companies in the world. And he is also the co-owner of Manchester United Football Club. The controversial remarks that you heard at the beginning that he made were done just a few days ago in an interview with Sky News. And just for transparency, I want to make it clear that he has since apologized for those comments. However, in my view, that apology did not come from a genuine shift in belief. It came because he is a high-profile public figure, he's the head of a global corporation, and the backlash was quickly turning into a public relations disaster. See, when you operate at that level of influence, words have consequences, and those words sparked outrage, and so the damage control followed. However, the real issue is not what he said, but that he felt comfortable in saying it publicly on Sky News, comfortable enough to describe Britain as colonized or being colonized. The likelihood is that he's comfortable because he knows that that rhetoric is growing. He's not alone. He reflects a growing number of people in the United Kingdom who feel disenfranchised, economically pressured, culturally anxious. Right now in the United Kingdom, we have the Reform Party led by Nigel Farage, which is challenging and amplifying this sentiment, pushing politics towards a troubling prejudice, revisionist history, and flirtatious ethno-nationalism rhetoric. And they're doing this instead of confronting the structural causes of UK's decline. You see, it's my opinion that when it comes to the West's decline, they have chosen a scapegoat in immigrants and non-whites, including people Britain dragged into its own empire, going around telling the world that you're now British through brutal and bloody dehumanizing conquest and ruthless subjugation only a few generations ago. Now, I know some Brits would roll their eyes at this and say, oh, look at how Britain is changing. But the Brits were world class at entering into a country, sacking the people, taking control of the country, enforcing its language and culture on them, and doing that overtly, in fact, as a matter of religious right. And herein lies the contradiction that we're discussing today. These countries that Britain did that to under colonization were then invited to rebuild Britain after the Second World War. Indeed, it was some type of program like that was how my father had the right as a Nigerian citizen to go to the United Kingdom, seek work and seek a new life. We're talking about countries whose labor now sustains the National Health Service, public transport, manufacturing, and the broader workforce at large. Now, those same people are being described using the language of invasion and the language of colonization. That, ladies and gentlemen, is not an accident. That is narrative gymnastics. You see, this is about how empire conveniently rewrites its own story. When Britain colonized Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean, it called it civilizing and development, and highlighting how it brings technology and railways and school and education and religion to these savages. Now that migration is flowing the other way, and colonization suddenly doesn't seem so good. What they refuse to connect is simple. Centuries of extraction and deliberate underdevelopment shapes the very migration that they now condemn. I just want to take a quick moment to thank everybody that has subscribed to my Substack. I really appreciate the support. If you're out there and you want to support this message of African sovereignty, then I highly recommend that you head over there as well. On a platform like YouTube, a message like this can be shadow banned. I could even be deplatformed. It's happened to others in this space already. But if you subscribe to my newsletter, it means that you and I can have a direct dialogue via email without any intermediary that may want to censor this message. There is a paid tier if you want to support financially. That's about the cost of a coffee each month. But if you don't want to do that, there's a free tier. And so even if it's just for the purposes of keeping this message alive, you can go and subscribe totally for free. The link is in the description right now, and I look forward to connecting with you via email directly real soon. In many of these countries, borders were engineered, industries were stifled, and economics were built for export, not self-sufficiency of those countries. Yet immigration is framed as the cause of decline rather than the consequence of the empire's actions in developing countries. And this is where the double standard becomes even more disturbing.
We now have a generation that believes everything we did by colonizing. Yes, it is true. They think everything about colonization was wrong. It wasn't. There were some terrible things and there were some good things to come out of it. And that is about properly acknowledging your past.
Education.
Yes, completely.
Sanitation.
Transportation.
Yeah. There was so much that we brought to communities.
But you see, you're typical of what we're talking about.
No, I'm saying that colonization, the empire was wrong. It was wrong, full stop. That's, the things that Britain might have done.
But that's very much through your modern sensibilities,
Yes.
you might say that, because we wouldn't now routinely go into other countries.
It was a profoundly racist set of basically invasions of other people, where we subjugated people to our rule and sort of made them work for us. It was completely
made their countries work.
Could imagine yourself in the shoes of a 13-year-old boy hearing you say that. How do they then carry that through life?
Well,
in terms of who I am as a Brit.
But it's not about...
We had racist ancestors.
But Bev...
But I'm saying that we hear much more of that than we do about the benefits of that period of time.
Well, because I don't think there were benefits. I think that we have to be completely...
Of course there were.
So you benefits to us.
I don't think there were.
There were benefits to us.
A lot of those countries did not, Jonathan, those countries...
It absolutely does.
Those countries did not have money. They did not have the creativity. They did not have people in positions of power to do this. No, they didn't.
Now, just listen to that rhetoric. Colonization brought education. These guys didn't have money. These guys didn't have civilization. Essentially, she's doing the same thing. These savages should be proud of what we did. They should be happy that we went over there and plundered their place so that they could have railways. The lack of self-awareness and the disrespect to the millions of people that died under those actions is just staggering. The perspective minimizes death, plunder, and subjugation. And that is what actually defined the empire. They were proud of it at the time. And yes, these GB guys from that clip, they got some backlash, but there was no public apology, no firing, no correction from the network, at least as far as I know. The presenters continue, they have a good following. And that is the troubling part. There's an audience for this rhetoric. Many viewers who nod along happily to that narrative are the very voters behind the Reform Party reframing migration in Britain as colonization. People like this, they don't even know the facts. They don't know the ongoing neo-colonial systems that still exist, the architecture that remains. And I don't mean physical architecture, I mean business and extractive architecture that remains in the continent of Africa and other places that were subjugated and colonized, that still causes wealth extraction to this very day. When independence came, those systems didn't disappear. Political flags may have changed, but economic control did not. The extraction networks remained, the trade dependencies remained, the financial architecture remained, and in some cases, even the monetary system was set up by the countries that colonized these places so that money would be controlled even after colonization. Of course, the CFA franc is the prime example of that, controlled and issued by France to this very day in African countries. I mean, how would the Brits like it if some other nation kept outside of the UK a percentage of their financial reserves? I mean, they didn't even want to give up the pound when they joined the euro, and then Brexit happened. They don't even want to be connected to Europe. So the Brits are very happy to understand the concept of independence and control of their own currency. But we still have currencies in Africa that are controlled outside from Europe, and the failure to understand this and see from the other perspective is just unbelievable. I talk about on this channel all the time the behaviors of the West in the continent of Africa in regards to things like regime change operations, such as the killing of Gaddafi, sanctions, lopsided deals, NGO influence that shapes domestic policy, multinational corporations extracting oil while communities face environmental devastation, entire ecosystems damaged by companies like Shell, with livelihoods destroyed and resistance often met with repression. Anyone can look up what happened to Ken Saro-Wiwa if you want a real example. This is not ancient history. This is living structure that exists now. Actual colonialism and imperialism alive and kicking today. And the reason it gets me fired up is because they seem to bear no responsibility for the outcomes of what they do on the continent of Africa. If the people from the West truly want to move beyond colonial shame and stop immigrants arriving on their borders seeking a better life, then they need to stop participating in the destabilization of the global South. Stop enforcing financial systems that constrain African sovereignty. Stop dictating ideological terms of development. Reform trade relationships, dismantle the structures that perpetuate extraction only. And I think here is an opportunity to actually call out a double standard, right? Because when immigration is discussed as colonization, it's suddenly a tragedy. The head of Manchester United is looking stern into the camera and his interviewer and saying, you know, we're being colonized here, we're victims. So why is it bad now and not bad when it's on GB News? And they're saying, oh, colonization was actually a good thing. We were helping the people. Well, which one is it? Did colonization bring good things? If so, why are you so afraid of it now? And if colonization was destructive, exploitative, and wrong, then say that clearly and dismantle the systems that still benefit from it. You cannot celebrate empire on one side and then claim victimhood for the same actions on the other, using the same definitions. You know, just a few days ago, Cambridge University publicly acknowledged the theft of Benin bronzes and outlined efforts to return these bronzes back to their original place.
The artifacts that we know today as the Benin bronzes are the cultural heritage of the Kingdom of Benin and its capital Benin City, which is today in Edo State in southern Nigeria.
These were hundreds of intricate artifacts taken from West Africa. And aside from the fact that it's taken, 100+ years to accept, acknowledge, and return these things, which still hasn't actually been done, they're in the process of doing it, it goes to show that there was sophisticated culture. Cambridge itself admits that the craftsmanship was advanced for its time, reflecting skill, education, culture, and all of those things that they undermine when they talk about how good colonization was for the places that Britain colonized. It creates specific outcomes. Some of those outcomes create backlash for those that did the colonizing. And until the UK and the West accept that, understand that it's still practicing those behaviors today, and understand that there is a consequence, and that consequence very well may be migration, it will be stuck in its decline. It will continue to feel the effects and not understand how to deal with the root cause. The truth is, what we have discussed here is only the beginning of the rabbit hole. If you want to understand the full manifestation of the Western decline and its ongoing influence on the continent of Africa, then I suggest you watch the video that's showing on the screen right now. I'll see you over there next.